Be prepared. It's a great motto for a great youth movement that spans the globe. But it's an even better motto for some of the best rally action in the country coming your way right now. It's round 4 of the Bosch Australian Championship from Scouts Rally SA. In our program today, we'll check out the East Coast Bull Bars SUV Challenge, those mighty classics, as well as both 2- and 4-wheel drive championships. We'll showcase the new Pedder's Power Stage, a concept used in the WRC and introduced at Scouts Rally SA for the first time in the ARC's history. Eli Evans has a commanding lead in the inaugural 2-wheel drive championship, but this is Jack Monkhouse's backyard and he knows these roads. Alan Rowe is third, but Mark Pedder will be hoping to get his first consistent round under his belt in the Honda Jazz.
You know, you just never know what can happen. We've got 3 rounds left. You know, if I can get some half reasonable results in the next 3 rounds, and we can still try and go for that Honda 1-2 that was the plan at the start of the year.
Like Jack Monkhouse, Alan Rowe is driving an earlier model rear-wheel drive Nissan, and keeping the front-wheel drive Hondas behind him has been a challenge this year. Whether the open, flowing roads in South Australia will help remains to be seen.
I think the roads here hopefully will suit us a bit better, a bit more grip. Queensland was a fair eye-opener with the lack of grip. Even with the rain about here, at least the roads are still gravelly, and so I look forward to that, but it is a fair challenge. They're a fairly competitive class.
We can't get too excited with the whole home rally thing and put on a big show. We've got to focus on the championship, and we have to win every round pretty much, so we need to be flat out and professional and do it properly from the word go.
His car is prepared, but Monkhouse lives by another motto.
A bit of a motto I've had on my Datsuns from day one, and ironically I forgot to put it on this car when we built it, but it's back on there and ready for Rally South Australia.
Championship leader Eli Evans has another issue to deal with this weekend. Big brother Simon has done what he promised to bring a 2-wheel drive and new manufacturer to the fight.
There's definitely a few personal goals here, but at the end of the day we want to put on a good showcase for the Mazda 2 and for Rally School, and show everyone that this is a serious contender.
As much as I'd love to beat my brother, there's a championship on the line, so look, I'll just do what I normally do, take it stage by stage, corner by corner, so see where we're at, try not to get too caught up. If it is close, I don't know, have to make a decision.
Michael Bowden leads the way in 4-wheel drive, just 3 points in front of Tom Wilde. Consistency has rewarded an unlikely competitor in Mick Patton at this level, currently the Premier League leader, but more importantly, third in the championship, ahead of the more fancied Steve Shepherd and Nick Box. Patton represents the other side of the competitive equation. Without the big budget, big horsepower, he and co-driver Bernie Webb might not have the fastest car on the road, but they have started and finished every leg, and it shows on the leaderboard.
It really has been amazing. We are gaining a bit of momentum, and things are starting to sort of come to plan, and the pieces are starting to come along nicely. But this weekend we're just about consistency again, and make sure we get some more points and keep where we are in the championship, and try and take home some more points for the Premier League as well. So it's good.
The pressure's off the restricted category leader. His main competition, Simon Knowles, is sidelined for a minor operation this weekend, but Patton will be watching his back for the high horsepower charging through from behind.
We're well down on points, but we plan to go a fair bit quicker than we did in Queensland.
We basically got to go for first outright for every stage for the rest of the year. We need other people to fall out. We need the points. We need to finish first.
There's a couple of rats in the ranks of 4-wheel drive this weekend. Locals Warren Lee and Russell Marker have stepped up to challenge the ARC supremacy, and they have nothing to lose.
Well, we want to try and make the Pedder's Power Stage, and so if we're in the top 4, then we're a contender for that. So we want to be there. So we're going to try our darndest, Jules and our
Yeah, definitely try for the Pedder's stage. But the advantage we've got this weekend is the rains come in early, so they'll pull some of the more powerful cars back to us, running Group N for us. So, and we did a really good result last year, so we want to try to follow that up with maybe another top 5 finish again.
The wet conditions don't help though. Through SS1 duels, both Marker and Lee struggle to make the top 10. Nick Box sets the early pace with Bowden, Wilde and Shepherd hot on his heels. Monkhouse takes the first flag in 2-wheel drive, 4 seconds in front of the next car. That car is the Mazda 2, beating his brother's Honda Jazz home by 4 seconds. Heat 1 is short and sweet with the focus on the Pedders Power Stage, a short dash across 4 kilometres of Mount Crawford. Only the fastest 4 from each category go through for a chance to bag extra championship points. SS2 and 3 are repeats of the popular stage and cover 14 kilometres around the forestry roads of Mount Crawford. Qualifying is simple. The fastest 4 times from either stage in both categories earns a place in the power stage. At the end of the first pass of Mount Crawford, Bowden leads 4-wheel drive from box, with Shepherd and Wild fighting for spoils. The West Australian pushing hard and flying high to claim a spot in his sponsor's stage. By the second pass, the fastest 4 remain unchanged, only the order is different. But the fastest 4 go through: Bowden, Shepherd, Wild and Box. Jack Monkhouse is also flying. Quickest 2-wheel drive by 3 seconds from Simon Evans in the Mazda 2. The Hondas of Eli Evans and Mark Pedder, 3rd and 4th. The upset comes next stage. Alan Rowe puts in a blinder and bumps Mark Pedder out of the top 4. And Eli Evans grabs the fastest time from Monkhouse.
2, 1, go.
The Pedders Power Stage is delayed after junior Michael Busby misjudges the first corner.
You all right?
Yeah.
The stage is stopped temporarily while the felled tree is removed, but that doesn't stop Guy Tyler, forced to find an alternate route to the end of the stage.
What the heck?
Matt Amos and Tom Ryan have a wake-up call themselves same stage. The Commodore Ute, sporting a new engine and sequential gearbox after Queensland, sliding onto the wet grass.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry, mate. Good save, good save.
After the regroup, the fastest 8 cars line up for the bonus points. 5 for first, 3 for second, 1 for third. Box sets the time to beat, 2 minutes 40.2, and waits to see if it can be beaten. Both Wild and Shepherd are unsuccessful, but the Warhope Warrior throws the gauntlet down, sneaking in by 1 second to claim the prize. Disaster for Jack Monkhouse in 2-wheel drive. Desperately in need of the bonus points, the Nissan's rear suspension has been damaged in SS3 and he's unable to start. As slowest qualifier, Alan Rowe is assured of at least 1 championship point. He's lucky to get that, running out of fuel and just making the finish. Simon Evans' time of 2 minutes 52.6 is the benchmark, and the time his younger brother needs to beat. In a sign of things to come, Eli Evans and Glenn Weston sneak the Honda Jazz in under the Mazda 2 by 0.2 of a second. It's game on in the Bosch Australian Rally Championship. Heat 2 in just a moment. Start for Heat 2 of Scouts Rally SA is in the heart of Adelaide at Edwards Park. Transport to the day's stages is over 80 kilometres away at Mount Pleasant. It's dark and still wet from overnight rain. It promises to be an interesting day. Jack Monkhouse is here lamenting what might have been on what had been a great start.
Yeah, it's pretty shattering to be leading the rally with a bit of a margin and for no apparent reason just have that suspension arm failure. It broke a quarter of the way into that third stage and I just noticed the steering wheel position had changed. So I knew something wasn't quite right. Thought it might have been the front steering, it might have hit a rock or something and bent the geometry there because that's generally what changes the front. But unfortunately no, it was the rear, so once we found out it had done a fair bit of damage.
Team Honda head honcho Peter Evans is excited. Son Eli was fastest across the Pedders Power stage in the Jazz, with elder son Simon right on his tail in a Mazda.
Probably got the best two cars out there, obviously, but they got to look out. I've got a younger brother coming soon. I reckon he'll be quicker than the both of them. So, but no, I think it's just yesterday to see those results and that. It sort of shows us it's going to be close. We can just get those couple more manufacturers. We have 4 manufacturers. This would be brilliant.
Adrian Coppen is one of those drivers looking to step up to the main game. After a season in the John Mills-owned Ford Fiesta, Coppen is hopeful about getting into a European-built Peugeot for 2013.
Being an R3 car is going to be really hopefully an outright contender and a big step up for me. But I'm really looking forward to the opportunity. It's going to be extensive testing at the end of this year to get used to the car, and then next year, hopefully, once we know the rounds, we can see how we go and take it to the Hondas.
Campgrounds is new for 2012, 14 kilometres in the reverse direction of the normal Special Forest Stage, Mount Crawford. Jack Monkhouse opens the second heat the way he wants, on top at the end of SS5. It is the narrowest of margins though, just 0.7 to Eli Evans in the Honda Jazz. Big brother Simon is close though, 3 seconds behind in the Mazda 2. Rain throughout the night has made the going tough for the two-wheel drives. Water continues to pool across the low-lying parts of the road. In others, the surface is slushy and slippery underfoot, as Adrian Coppen and Tim Batten discover.
Oh, you bastard. Thanks, baby.
Goldfields is the 3rd straight stage win for Jack Monkhouse, but the 4 times Australian champion is finding form in the Mazda 2, beating the Honda to claim 2nd position across the longer 16 kilometres of Shire roads. Eli Evans hits back across Tweeden, the traditional finish to Scouts Rally SA, a massive 31 kilometres. He and Glenn Weston are home by 1.1 seconds over the Workmed Nissan. The Mazda 2 drops 13 seconds. Frustration with a mid-range loss of power affecting the car's performance.
Seem to be missing all that mid-range. It doesn't ever seem to come back. It feels good for a little bit, like right at the start of the stage, but then within a couple of Ks it all disappears. So we're all scratching our heads a bit at the moment.
With the Evans brothers stealing the limelight, Mark Pedder flies under the radar. Happy he and Claire Ryan are now finishing every stage top 4 and hopefully putting the frustration of an inconsistent first half of the season behind them.
You know, on the positive side of that, while we're having mechanical dramas, Eli's not. So as far as the team goes, they're learning from my car, which is, partly a really good thing.
The tussle in the rallyschool.com.au challenge is leaning in favour of Adam Kashmiri throughout the morning. Driving an earlier model Honda Civic, Kashmiri and co-pilot Sam Hill came from New South Wales with the express purpose of qualifying for the Junior Challenge final in Coffs later in the year. Everything was on track until Tweeden, when the gearbox cried enough. The V8 battle between Matt Amos and John Brunsma has the Ute on top. Brunsma's concern about tyre choice made all the more difficult with 2 tonne of the General's finest to push over the gravel roads.
We changed tyres this morning. We might have gone with the wrong choice yesterday, but I think everyone struggled. We thought we might go with muds, but I don't think we got the drive that we needed out of the corners yesterday. But yeah, the roads still be all right. This is the beauty of South Australia. It can take a bit of rain.
The weather has certainly introduced another tyre to the Kumo range. Our guru, John Mills.
Well, the 700 is a mud type. In the wet conditions we've had this weekend, we've had a number of two-wheel drive cars go out on the mud tyre. The 900 is a very close block tyre designed for swept gravel roads. The 800 is a more open tyre for loose gravel roads, but the 900 really has big blocks on it to cut through the gravel. This is the 900. It's got very big blocks, quite close grooves together, and they're tied together. The 800, more open pattern, designed to sweep the gravel off the road. But when you look at the 700, it's got really big gaps, really big blocks to bite into the mud, cut through the mud and get to the surface underneath.
Only the Brunsma or Amos will feature in the points for the day, but the sound of their V8s resonating around the forest accords them certain privileges, especially the right to slip and slide across these gravel roads. For Brunsma though, Tweedens has a bit too much slide.
Come up to a rise and huge broadside, trees coming our way, and I thought this is the end of the rally, but luckily we do have a 2-ton vehicle and it pulled up. You know, one of those lighter vehicles might have been a bit different, but yeah, it was a scary moment.
Michael Busby picks up where he left off in Heat 1 after hitting the tree. The lead junior through SS9 and 6th outright in two-wheel drive.
150.
Monkhouse cleans up through the final repeat of campgrounds, but the reverse run through Mount Crawford is not so kind to the WorkMed team.
9 left. 200. That's all bad. Should have done that, mate. Oh, no! Bugger. It's all bad.
1 second jump.
By the time Mark Petter's Honda arrives, the Nissan has been moved off the racing line. Petter and Ryan nearly sucked into the same tree.
10 left on brow, 50. Good work. This is 10 left on brow, 50.
With sufficient fuel this time, Rowe makes it past the same point, but he is 10 seconds slower than Petter. It's Eli Evans who dominates, now with a 22-second lead over the Mazda 2. The final stage of the heat is a third run over Jules. This Forest Road surface suffers more from the sporadic rain during the day than Mount Crawford. Mark Petter is third behind his teammate in the Honda, but it's Simon Evans who takes the stage in the Mazda 2. Eli Evans focusing on the bigger picture.
Took it easy on that last one, mate. We already had 20 seconds up our sleeve, so I could give him 19.
Eli finishes on top in another heat, despite a concerted effort from his champion brother in the new car. Mark Petter grabs some valuable championship points with Alan Rowe fourth and a hard charge from Michael Busby after his big crash yesterday, rewarding him with fifth fastest time in two-wheel drive. Next up, the action in the four-wheel drive Bosch Australian Rally Championship from Scouts Rally SA. Nick Box might have lost the Petters power stage yesterday by just a second, but his opening account for Heat 2 reverses the score. Over the 14-kilometre stage of campgrounds, only 5 seconds separates the top 5 cars. Michael Bowden is next, but the Petters Suspension Evo 10 is only 4 behind and out to close the gap on the series leader. The problem for Wild, though, is Queenslander Steve Shepherd, just 0.4 behind him. It's close at the top. The East Coast Bull Bars SUV of Brett Middleton is close too. Too close to the signage through SS5.
Immediate left, 7 short over crest absolute.
The big thing is, with this car, we've got to carry momentum. And that corner, we decided to try something a little bit different and probably did go a little bit too wide.
The lesser powered diesel turbo forces Middleton to drive differently to other four-wheel drives. Carrying momentum through the corners is critical to maintaining speed. Several comments have been made over the last 2 days that the SUV looks remarkably quick through corners, despite its stage times.
Because it weighs 1.6 tonnes, which is probably one of the heaviest rally cars here, you've got to carry a lot of corner speed in the car because it doesn't have that huge amount of power to drive it out. It's got a lot of torque, and a lot of people comment how quick it is out of the slow corners because it's got so much bottom end torque. But it's on the faster corners when that doesn't actually make a big amount of difference. So, and also we've got to be a little bit careful too because the car has open diffs. In this category, we're not allowed to modify the drivetrain like all the other rally cars have limited slip diffs. Well, the Subaru's got electronic diffs, and we're not allowed to use any of that because it limits all the traction control.
Tony Sullen's foray back into gravel hasn't been without issue this year, although the older model STI has not embarrassed itself. The addition of a 6-speed sequential gearbox this round should be an added bonus.
We're the only team that really didn't have a dog box in the field that was going well, so I don't know how good it's going to be. It's only got 200 kilometres on it.
Sequential, very different style of driving.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I can drive a truck, so it can't be too hard, eh?
The setback for Sullins is the engine, a Bitzer pieced together from spares after the go-fast parts for his new engine failed to arrive in time. What he picks up with the gearbox, he's giving away in horsepower. He stays top 5 through the morning stage and is 4th quickest through SS6 duels, 4 behind the Sachs Evo. Shepherd and McCarthy are 3rd, only a 2nd behind Michael Bowden. It's not just his bumper that's trailing the Hippo Creek Evo. Everyone is trailing Nick Box by at least 4 seconds across the 9 kilometres. It's a record Bosch ARC field this weekend, over 30 competitors in the national competition. And there was still more in the South Australian Series. The V8s of Amos and Brunsma are mixing it with Brent Middleton in the turbo diesel SUV. And a throng of juniors are vying for their place in the rallyschool.com.au challenge in Coffs Harbour at round 5 later in the year. The fast-sweeping Shire roads of Goldfields are not to the West Australians' liking. Box drops 13 seconds to Bowden, who seems to have found another gear. Tom Wilde is another 10 seconds behind Box, but Shepherd slips to 6th behind local Sandy Knott.
70.
It's the second year young James Rodder has tried out for the Junior Challenge. He's 8th fastest across the 16 kilometres and, more importantly, faster than Dane Berry, who's currently leading the juniors. If Goldfields was bad for Nick Box, then Bowden serves him up on a platter. 36 seconds of clear air between the first 2 cars and another 20 seconds back to Steve Shepherd.
I felt real comfortable on the forest stages, but these Shire roads, my notes don't feel up to scratch, sort of. Goldfields are pretty good, but I was a bit cautious, and then Sweden, they were terrible. I was backing off for stuff I shouldn't have, but Bowden just drove really fast.
Blew us away too when we got to the end. I said to Helen, well, that's as, hard as I could drive. And we took like nearly 30 seconds off our stage time from last year. So, yeah, we're stoked.
Like many rally teams before them, Michael Bowden and Helen Cheers have lifted their game to a new level. Their time, only 1 second off the stage record.
This year we really stepped it up, yeah, and I have noticed that myself because the brakes aren't as good as they should be.
Speaking of brakes, Nathan Berry in the Brakes Direct Evo makes a name for himself in the same stage, but for all the wrong reasons.
Hold on, mate, I got it.
Brake.
We've just come up over the high-speed crest on this straight here. Kept a little bit too far to the right and got it airborne or light over the crest, and it's come down on the grass. It's just pulled us off the road. And at 5th gear flat, 150 k's, we had a drain coming up, so we've just tried to clear the drain, but that's tore the front of the car to pieces and come out the other side with no steering or braking or anything, and spun us off towards that tree and into this green shed.
Berry and co-driver Ryan Calder walk away uninjured, but the car is a write-off.
There's a bigger picture to life, and this isn't good, but Ryan and I are both here and we're both fine, so that's all that really matters.
80.
Through the repeat of campgrounds, Tony Sullins doesn't feature. The sequential gearbox locked in neutral, his rally going nowhere. On song, though, is our Premier League leader, Mick Patton. The benefit of his co-driver's rally experience clearly rubbing off.
350, that's much faster.
Bernie Webb's accurate and encouraging call reward the pair with 5th outright in 4-wheel drive.
Nicely done.
It's a long haul to Adelaide for service, then back again to run the reverse of the same stage. For one co-driver, this is a unique opportunity to mix work and pleasure. Bosch President Gavin Smith co-driving in the Rally School Zero car.
We are the world's largest auto components manufacturer. We've got a motorsports division and we get involved all the way from European touring cars through NASCARs through you name it. So having an involvement in Australia for us is ideal. It's fantastic. I've been doing tarmac rallies as a navigator for the last 12 years and it is a very different feeling. Tarmac feels quite precise. Reasonably safe though, much faster. Gravel's just all over the place. It's like a dog on lino.
Maybe Nathan Berry might agree with him on that score. Nathan's brother Dane is leading the four-wheel drive rallyschool.com.au junior challenge in a similar Mitsubishi Lancer.
I'm not a huge fan of the wet conditions. Car's good, but I just had a few little errors that I'm not happy with. But that's how it goes.
Fingers crossed for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, well, just trying to enjoy it and get some more experience and prepare for COFs. That's mainly why we're here.
There's a smile on Steve Shepherd's face as he leaves service. But things are not all roses in the Sachs camp.
In Tweeden, he hit a jump a little bit harder than he expected. When he came down, it was in gear, and we're just a little bit worried that it may have damaged something. Driveline, gearbox, transfer case. So for the last service this evening, we'll change the gearbox, total precaution.
It's a 90-kilometre transport back to Mount Crawford for the third pass over the Forest stage. And while there is a certain level of familiarity for the teams, the track is getting cut up with continued use.
Double crest into caution.
The youngest driver in the field, Dan Day, makes an impression through SS10. He's fifth quickest, just 5 seconds behind Steve Shepherd and Tom Ryan. He's already qualified for the COFs Junior Final. This event is about gaining experience, and this stage he's mixing it with plenty of that. Third quickest over Mount Crawford on the third run is not third time lucky for the Petters suspension Lancer. They make the finish, but a broken suspension arm halfway through means they can't start the final stage of the heat. Nick Box wins that stage through the wet and slippery duels, but it's all too little too late. Michael Bowden has secured his second heat win for the weekend. Nick Box is second from Steve Shepherd, local Sandy Knott and Dan Day rounding out the five. Heat 3 is coming your way, but next up, the classics, and just which sport allows anyone to compete with world champions. We're in Barry Low country here in South Australia. The 2 times Aussie champ returned to the classic competition last year and is back this round with renewed enthusiasm and a new sponsor, hello.com.au.
I absolutely love it. And it's crazy, you know, they call me the 60-year-old teenager, and that's probably what I am.
Jeff David arrived with not one, but 2 Porsches. The new 300 horsepower Stuttgart Stormtrooper that had a false start in Queensland, and his original 911, this time in the hands of his son Jacques in his first rally. David Sr. should have taken it to Neil Bates, but a gearbox issue sidelined him early, and he was forced to watch his old car that did make it to the finish in promising hands.
I guess I'm sort of proving that the not always the fastest car sort of finishes, so I'm just trying to trot along and finish the rally.
Bates and Taylor led from the start and never looked back. Lowe was the best of the rest, but with all that weight and wheel spin, it was never a serious threat. Nev Wittenbury punched his 180B through the mud, chasing down the leaders, as did the other Datto of Stephen Horrobin. Proving once again that the classics come in all shapes and sizes, Bruce Field fronted with his mum's Mercedes 280. When he was 13, she drove him to school in this very car. A couple of decades on, and Bruce has single-handedly converted it into a rally car and fulfilled a lifelong ambition. But there could be a catch.
Oh, she's going to want it back one day, that's the only problem, but I've offered to take her for a drive in the car as it is now, but she's refused so far. Maybe one day.
By Heat 3, Bates was clearly on top, but a rare mechanical issue for the normally reliable Bates Motorsport team saw he and Coral stopped in Manthry and waiting for a trailer.
There was smoke, but it's not oil, it looks like coolant, so I'm not really sure. I can't actually see where it's come from, but there's coolant all under the bonnet here.
That left the fight between Lowe and Wittenbury, and fight they did to the death knell. Lowe trailing by 3 seconds going into the final stage, but winning by 2 in the final heat. He and Bates tied for the weekend win with Wittenbury third.
With the Tour de France and the Olympics fresh in our mind, it's easy to wonder what international competition would be like.
for most of us, it's just a dream that is often overrun by self-doubt and budget. Driving a rally car is one of the only sports you can enter and run with the big guns of the sport. In fact, you can enter a round of the World Rally Championship and pit your skills against a world champion. How? With a gap of 1 to 2 minutes between competing cars, it's safe to have a mix of skills behind the wheel. Rallying is not about wheel-to-wheel racing, it's against you and the club. It's your ability to cover a timed section in the shortest possible period. And there are 3 things that decide your fate. Your own skill level, the skill of the co-driver, and lastly, the setup and the speed of the car. The ARC is the pinnacle of racing in Australia, and many competitors have done their apprenticeships before they start here. Every state has a number of car clubs, only too willing to guide the novice on the right course. And it's my belief that every young driver, male or female, should be encouraged to join a car club for a year or 2 to hone those skills of car control on a loose surface. Who knows, maybe you too could race in a world championship.
And someone living that very dream is Mick Patton, who after 3 short years is running in the Bosch ARC and leading Premier League.
After the competition we won a couple of years ago with Repco, to have my name last on the sheet and Sebastian Loeb's first on the sheet, which is now sitting on my wall in a frame obviously, in the starting entry list, is really amazing. But it's great in that you can't get into a V8 supercar and race against Lowndesy and the other guys, but this industry, it's from the top to the bottom, everyone can do their own thing, no matter how fast, how much money you got, it's just one thing that everybody can get involved in, which is the best part about it. It's amazing, it's awesome. That's why I'm so addicted to it.
There's more rally addiction coming up after the break. The final heat of the 2 and 4-wheel drive Bosch ARC competition, Scouts Rally SA. The stages for Heat 3 incorporate 2 from previous years and 3 more traditionally used within the South Australian Championship, the latter south of the city of Adelaide in the Kaipo Forest. Honeysuckle is first. Michael Bowden and Helen Shears start where they finished off in Heat 2, leading. It's an 11-second gap to Nick Box and a further 4 back to Steve Shepherd. Sandy Knott again makes the top 5, one of last year's junior competitors maintaining good pace and consistency. He and David Langfield go one better across Manflew, home to the infamous railway jump that catches cars every year. Knott is elated by their performance.
No, very impressed, very impressed. It's fast, slippery out there. We thought, after last day's effort, we'd give it a red hot shot today, especially on the fast council roads.
Not bad though, considering you had an intercom problem.
Yeah, one of the wires snapped. Fortunately, it was the one for me hearing, and he can still hear me talk, so it's the right way around.
It's the jumps before the railway crossing that catch everyone. Bowden is lucky and makes it to service with only a bent intercooler pipe.
Yeah, we landed a bit hard on one of the crests and it squashed all the intercooler pipes and punched the intercooler up. So we're just going to mosey on. It's down in top speed, but I'm not really too fussed about it.
Welcome news for his competition, no doubt. Nick Box, the next quickest through Man3, more conservative across the jumps. Steve Shepherd is third and wondering what he's got to do to catch Michael Bowden.
We've had moments where we thought, we'll be able to catch him, and you have a big go and you get to the end and you see stage time and go, what is he doing? He's on fire.
Didn't think we'd be that fast on the 2 first Shire stages. I love the stages, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit slippery out there, and I knew Nick would be on the pace. So anyway, that's good. We've got a fair bit of buffer now. We can just go into the forest and just cruise, and hopefully we'll come home with another win.
He might not be cruising, but Michael Bowden backs off to give Nick Box the stage win through SS14. Flat. The forest roads are soaked in rain and treacherous. Word has already filtered through that the next stage, Ding Dong, has been cancelled because it's impassable for 2-wheel drives.
100 turn right 4, this is the one that's very slippery.
Fortunately, Brett Middleton is in a 4-wheel drive for the penultimate stage.
There's no way we'll get out of here.
No such problem for James Rodder. In fact, things are looking up for the junior contender. Overnight leader in the rallyschool.com.au four-wheel drive junior challenge, Dane Berry, was unable to start when the rear diff housing broke late in Heat 2. Rodder only has to finish SS16 Planetary to clinch a place in the final at Coffs Harbour in the rallyschool.com.au Junior Challenge. Not surprisingly, Nick Box and Ash Ridden take the final 8K stage from Michael Bowden. The siblings from northern New South Wales have played a calculated game of competition this round and have come out on top. Clear round winners, 3 wins from 3 heats. Without mechanical issues that have previously plagued the Sachs team, Steve Shepherd grabs third for the final heat and for the round. Sandy Knott knocks out a couple of ARC competitors to grab 4th place, while Daniel Day claims the final position in the event. In championship terms, Michael Bowden extends his lead this weekend, but Nick Box jumps back into contention after a better performance this round. Nick Patton drops to 4th in his restricted Repco entry, but extends his lead in the Premier League, while Steve Shepherd holds on for 5th. Still to come from the Bosch ARC Championship, the two-wheel drive final heat at Scouts Rally SA. You're watching the Bosch Australian Rally Championship coming to you from Scouts Rally SA. Mark Pedder might not be fighting for a championship win, but with 2 heats under his belt this weekend, he's enjoying the opportunity to learn more about the two-wheel drive Honda Jazz.
It's just so different to a four-wheel drive in the way you drive, and I keep on catching myself reverting back to driving it like I drive the four-wheel drive, and it's not the fastest way to drive it. So, we'll just keep plugging along and try and get a little bit quicker.
Adam Kazmiri also needs to go quicker today to get back in the race to qualify for the two-wheel drive junior challenge.
I have to try and win every stage for the bonus points and also stay on the road in the slippery conditions in Kaipo, so I'll try my best and see what happens.
If the overnight rain is to cause problems, it will be with the two-wheel drives.
I certainly would predict that it'll be a bit average down around Ding Dong and a couple of the other ones as well. So it certainly will be a matter of trying to be a bit conservative and stay on the road and get the finish.
That finish is 5 stages away in the Kaipo Forest. But before that, the day gets underway at Honeysuckle, 20 minutes to the east of Adelaide. It's the Evans, head-to-head through SS12. After 10 kilometres, Eli has the measure of his older brother by just over 2 seconds. Rowe and Farrell are next in the Nissan, a solid 7 in front of Mark Pedder. John Brunsma's concerns about the slippery conditions yesterday are highlighted today through Honeysuckle. No damage, but it's trailer time for the North Oz Projects rally team from WA. Across SS13 Man 3, Simon definitely has the jump on his younger brother, but it's Eli Evans who takes the stage by 3 seconds. Repco Nissan is next with Adam Kazmiri back in the hunt for the juniors. Their chance to qualify gone. The boys from New South Wales spent the previous day repairing the gearbox, putting Guy Tyler in the box seat to grab the two-wheel drive junior lead.
Into triple caution railway jump.
Tyler too suffered gearbox issues, the selector temporarily sidelining him in Heat 2, but with his favourite stages, Honeysuckle and Man 3, he was on his way to the Coffs Harbour Junior Challenge final if he finished the day. With his pedigree as one of the country's best rally drivers, Simon Evans is seated first on the road. He and co-driver wife Sue are first into the cautioned wet and slippery corner mid-SS14. A rare moment for the 4-time Australian Rally champions. Eli is next through. Not a word is said, but the sideways glance at his brother's dilemma speaks volumes. While Simon is not in the championship hunt this year, the younger Evans is hot on the trail of his older brother's championship achievements. The sister Honda Jazz is slower. Finishing is key to a successful weekend for Mark Pedder this round. He and Claire Ryan are through to face the final stage of the rally.
Thanks, guys.
Simon and Sue lose 13 precious minutes extracting the Mazda 2 and getting back on the road. With the penultimate stage cancelled, only Planetary remains. 8.36 kilometres of gravel road that is all Simon Evans. With the bit between his teeth, he and Sue cover the stage in 6 minutes and 7 seconds, 16 clear of his brother Eli. It's a small consolation for slipping from 2nd to 7th, but the message is clear from the man and his Mazda. He'll be back bringing the fight to the Honda at round 5 at Coffs Harbour. A jubilant Mark Pedder and Claire Ryan celebrate their first full round finish after a frustrating first half of the season, and a weekend podium for their trouble. Consistency, the trump card for Alan Rowe and Ray Farrell in their rear-wheel drive Nissan 200. For them, the runners-up trophy. The weekend spoils from Scouts Rally SA, full of trials, goes to Eli Evans and Glenn Weston. A dream run this weekend, making it 4 wins from 4 rounds for the Honda Jazz.
Oh, it wasn't that easy, I tell you. I'm over the moon. The Honda G2 Jazz was absolutely perfect, no issues the whole time, and I just kept it on the road and kept the power on and just kept trying to put in stage time to put pressure on the guys around me, and I think it really paid off. You know, guys around kept having issues and we kept ending up on top, so maximum points, and going against the Mazda G2, I'm pumped.
Evans extends his lead in the Drivers' Championship. Jack Monkhouse will struggle to regain traction in the final 2 rounds, and Mark Pedder is the big winner this weekend, back into 2nd place ahead of Alan Rowe. And let's not forget the performance of the Mazda 2. Exciting times ahead at the Bosch Australian Rally Championship. Coffs Coast Rally is where they will meet again. We hope you can join us for that. From the team, it's bye for now.